All right, everyone. We are having yet another one of our world famous animator interviews. And today we have Mr. Porter Young. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it as well.
Usually the first thing I kind of ask when I interview someone is where would possibly my students seen some of your work?
Yeah. Um, so I worked on Henry Selick's film Wendell and Wild. That was my
Hmm.
first feature film. I think it's still streaming on Netflix. Another show I've worked on is The Tiny Chef Show, if
Okay.
anyone's familiar with that on social media. I worked on season 2 of that with Shadow Machine up here in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Um, My more recent work that hasn't been released yet is I've worked on Laika's upcoming feature film Wildwood
Oh, nice.
this
Very cool.
October.
Hmm.
A trailer dropped for that a few weeks ago, so I think you can definitely go look that up if you want a
Sure.
sneak peek of that.
Nice.
Most recently, I just returned home from England, working with Aardman Animations on their upcoming Shaun the Sheep movie that
Oh,
comes.
another one. Nice.
Yeah. It comes out this September, and there's a
Oh,
trailer
nice.
for that as
Very cool.
well.
What's it
So,
called? Assuming you
uh,
can tell me
yeah, no,
that.
you're good. It's Shaun the Sheep, the Beast of Mossy Bottom. So,
Okay, very cool.
Halloween
Nice. Oh,
themed.
okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah. So yeah, those are a few of the projects I've worked
Oh,
on. Uh,
awesome.
Big. So.
Oh, sorry. I mean, what was that?
Oh no, just those were a few of the projects I've worked
Oh,
on, the main ones
yeah,
that
yeah.
people may know about.
So, bibbidi bobbidi boom. Where do you think your love of animation comes from?
Yeah. So I
And
grew
it doesn't
up.
have to be, it could also be art. So I didn't want to like pigeonhole you there with animation, but if it was like some people say like, oh, it's an illustrator or whatever. So it can be any artistic kind of endeavor, I would say.
Yeah, no sweat. Yeah, so I grew up, I'd say confidently, like I grew up in a pretty artistic household. My dad is
Hmm.
originally a graphic designer, creative
Oh, nice.
director. Um, my mom was always playing piano growing up.
Uh,
And yeah, my brother and sister were always just crafting stuff. So just
nice.
growing up around that environment. My uncle is like a great, insanely talented fine artist, painter. Like he does
Uh,
painting. And yeah, so I guess the animation bug was more so just, growing up on like the classics on VHS. Sunday afternoons, I'd watch the early Pixar films,
okay,
like Bugs Life, Toy Story, and
sure,
grew up watching The Wrong Trousers,
sure. That's a great one.
Wallace and Gromit film. Um, and so, yeah, I think like that's marinating in the brain subconsciously from a young age. And then eventually middle school is when I started getting, I consider myself like kind of at the tail end of like the Flash cartoon generation on YouTube, uh,
Mm,
where, I just middle school was like the perfect time for me to watch just all these like kind of crude Flash cartoons made by
right,
other independent creators. But
sure,
it was there like I started learning like, oh, they're using this program called Adobe Flash, and that's
right.
I started learning like these are pictures drawn frame by frame. Um, quickly learned after doing some crappy Flash cartoons, like I can't really draw well. So I
Okay,
tried 3D animation because, like I grew up watching Pixar.
sure,
At that point, that was way too over my head. I'm
okay,
13, 14. And so eventually I just catch wind of just like a behind the scenes of like Coraline, and I'm seeing these
mm,
models being moved on these real physical sets, and you just
sure,
move them a tiny bit. Anyways, long story short, started pushing some clay around, and
mm,
that's just when my passion really started growing,
nice,
by doing some stop motion in middle and high
mm,
school. So
great.
yeah.
So you get passion, you do the. I feel like every stop motion slash animator starts with like Play-Doh kind of thing.
Yep.
And so I sort of joke it's that or like you move your like dolls, your G.I. Joes or whatever your generation would have had as like your sort of character to move around. Like you kind of do
Totally.
that kind of stuff, like Legos or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, Lego films used to, I mean, now it's back as like this meme thing with 3D, but it used to be like that was kind of like the go-to for like stop motion because it was just everyone had Legos and everyone had like it was just an easy thing to set up and keep still and move around. So you get really into stop motion. I mean, you love animation, but you find it's a little bit more difficult to draw than maybe you thought it would be, or you didn't think that was maybe your calling. What do you go to art school or do you start just working on your own stuff or what happens?
Yeah, so yeah, I guess we'll just pick up from high school because that's actually kind of when things started picking up for me.
Uh-huh.
Um, so full disclosure, I actually have never attended college or
Okay.
any formal training. I was 16 years old and I started just gaining curiosity and like, hey, how do I like go from like claymation on my desk to like the big stuff that I see on the
Sure.
screen. And so I start researching intensely. Like it was like summertime and I'm on like at this point Google like didn't have advanced search stuff like it does now,
Sure.
but I'm like on page 28, I think, and I finally
Sure.
find this like link to this stop motion studio in Valencia, Spain. And they
Okay.
run this summer animation course.
Okay.
So I didn't realize it was geared more towards college students, but I
Right.
sent in my application. Long story short, they get back to me a few months later and are like, "Hey, you're accepted. Also, here's a full ride scholarship."
Oh wow.
So they
Awesome.
paid for it. Um, Again, my demo reel was nothing to it
Right.
was play clips from a 16-year-old kid. But
Right.
like
Right.
anyways, my parents are a little bit confused. Like I run upstairs, I'm like, I'm going to Spain, and they're like, wait, you applied to this?
Yeah, I'm not gonna
But
lie. It sounds a little scammy. If
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, my parents were definitely nervous. But we all took the leap of faith. And that's when, yeah, we just decided, okay, we're gonna figure this out. And so I
Mhm.
ended up going out to Spain.
Okay.
And that's where it really took off. My key mentors in that program were very talented animators. Their names are Ivan Serion,
Okay.
David Caballero, and then Javier Tostado. And they run this studio in Spain called Inspira Animation. And they made
Okay.
this show called Clay Kids. And so
Okay.
basically the training was with their Clay Kids characters, and it's like 7 weeks long. They take you all the way from like week one was like moving Hot Wheels cars, just
Sure.
getting that smooth, and then week two was clay, and then eventually we're working with the puppets. And so,
Okay.
anyways, fast forwarding a bit, uh, end of the summer, just they end up telling my parents like, "Hey, your son's really talented. Bit unusual to have him this young." Like,
Sure.
maybe once he graduates high school, he can get in touch with us for a job. And so
Right.
I ended up getting my GED 3 months later.
Oh
'Cause
wow.
I was just like, that course solidified just, I guess everyone refers to it as like your life's calling moment,
Sure.
that
Right.
moment where you feel very inspired. And it was that for me where I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And my high school wasn't really supportive at that time of like any animation at all. And so
Sure.
I was just kind of like, I want to animate. Why am I going to go to school? Like I just knew early on, just deep down, like this is it. I'm doing this. And so I went all in. I got my GED, got my
Hmm.
driver's license as well. I did a lot in like 3 months, and then
Sure.
eventually was like, "Okay, now let's start working on the portfolio." Contacted the same company that taught me how to animate again, and they were like, "Hey, we have an opening for uh the summer on our Play-Doh series. It was like on YouTube, like
Hmm.
for toddlers, just like the literal cans of Play-Doh with like arms out. I think you can see the 3D versions of them at like grocery stores and stuff, but
Okay.
we do this we did this series with like actual Play-Doh, not clay. So it was like drying out as we were animating it. Anyways, that was my first job. Um, and yeah, that's kind of where I cut my teeth and really learned like how to set up cameras,
Hmm.
rigs. Like they taught me everything. So anyways, we can get more into like other career stuff, but that's kind of I
Okay.
call that my training, if you will.
Right.
Yeah. So
So where do you go from there?
yeah, so from there, I kind of glossed over some stuff
Okay.
after the course, the summer course, not Play-Doh, just the summer course. Um, and this will kind of go into later my advice for students, but I
Hmm.
was connecting with people over email at the time. I
Okay.
didn't have social media, and
Right,
I still don't.
right.
But
Sure. You're not missing much, don't worry.
good to know. Um, yeah, I was getting in touch with some animators, and one of them was a previous animation intern at Laika.
Okay.
And I started building just natural dialogue with her, and she uh ended up like, I at the end of the summer just was like, hey, like I did this Clay Kids course, like here's the stuff I did. And
Right.
I didn't know she did this, but she sent my clips to the animation supervisor at Leica,
Oh, nice. Very cool.
which looking back is just really crazy. Because that's like I was a 16-year-old kid, like
Right.
super easy to blow off, just
Sure.
kind of,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, whatever. Um, well, that animation supervisor ends up emailing me and saying, hey, like, keep in touch. Maybe
Hmm.
once you go to art school, we can think about like an internship with you. And
Okay.
well, anyways, I'm visiting Oregon after the course, and like he ends up giving me a tour of Leica. So I
Hmm.
end up like getting even more inspired. I'm like, wow, like I'm seeing the sets for like Kubo and the Two Strings, which
Right.
came out like a summer before. So I was like getting so inspired. Fast forward a bit, I'm now like my dad was on a business trip in LA, took me with him. I'm interviewing at Stupid Buddy Studios for a
Hmm.
assistant animation job on this show called Robot Chicken.
Sure.
Anyways, so there's all these like really cool networking experiences happening. So anyways, fast forward, I do Play-Doh, and then I actually, again, this theme of kind of beating the odds, I just ended up cold emailing the animation supervisor at Leica and just saying, hey, like I'm 18. Like, I know this is nuts, but like, could we work out like an internship?
Right.
I know I haven't gone to school. And he's like, yeah, let me talk with my team. And, they figured out the legal stuff. And,
Hmm.
yeah, it's really quite miraculous for me. But it was just like, yeah, I got the internship at Leica. I was
Awesome.
18 years old, and they took me through their feature training program for the summer. And that's really where, like, the Clay Kid stuff, definitely forever grateful. That helped. Leica
Hmm.
got me to that feature quality that summer. That was like, okay, this is how you do like the real
Right.
like
Real
feature
level
stuff.
professional.
Yeah.
Sure.
So. Um, I could go into more detail about other career stuff, but long story short, after like there wasn't a feature film happening at that time with them.
Right.
So they were just like, hey, go out there, keep honing your craft. We're definitely going to keep in touch.
Sure.
So I go to LA for a year, and
Okay.
I work with this studio called Apartment D Films.
Okay.
They did a lot of toy animation for Mattel.
Oh, okay.
So
Like
I
commercials.
was moving Barbie dolls and these
Right.
American Girl dolls, and like it was very limited animation, but it was really good to cut my teeth there.
Sure.
And then, yeah, worked with some other like freelance stuff, like helped on some Cal Art short films.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then yeah, the big break for me was getting a job on Wendell and Wild with Henry Selick. That's where that was my first proper feature animation job.
Hmm.
And I cut my teeth on that film. And from there, went to Wildwood. And then after Wildwood, went to Shadow Machine and worked on The Tiny Chef Show and In the
Okay.
Know.
And that's where you are now, right? Or
No, I'm not at Shadow
oh,
Machine.
okay.
Um,
No, I meant like this is where you are in life, not the studio necessarily,
oh
but
yeah, 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 yeah. No,
yeah,
totally.
yeah.
So yeah, but
Oh,
yeah, and then yeah, recently went to Aardman, which is
sure. Yeah, that's
crazy.
one of
So
the top. I mean, some would argue the top stop motion in the modern era, I would argue, you know?
yeah, no, totally. So kind of yeah, that's just my happy to dive more into it, but that's my like loose career trajectory or my highlight, I
Mhm.
guess. So
Sure.
um
Um, why don't you, I mean, as someone I mean, granted, you didn't do a lot of 2D, but like, what is something, because my students, we don't do specifically stop motion in my course. It's usually either 2D or 3D. But what
mhm.
is something that if someone is, because I do have some students who do their own kind of, stop motion for fun kind of stuff. What is, um, what is something, what are some tips or some advice you might give people who are interested in doing stop motion?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. My advice is to kind of do what I did when I first started, start
Okay.
pushing something around.
Mm,
Like I have like this little Hot Wheels car on my desk, and there's so much you can learn just from moving this and getting
sure.
that really nice and smooth, and
Mm,
or even like, like maybe look up how cars drift and see if you can get a
sure.
convincing drift. Like anything you have in your house.
Learn from life is kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, 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 totally.
This
Like,
is something I say in just traditional animation, but it can obviously apply to stop motion. Everything we see around us is based on physics and what we
mhm.
perceive. So in other words, like I got this cup. If I let go of it, you assume it's going to fall because you've seen gravity before. And, the same is when people walk or whatever. So it's like animation, in my humble opinion, is about mimicking reality, which can include physics, like drifting, like you just said, or,
Yeah,
an object speeding up the faster that it's, the longer that it's falling. But
yeah.
it's not about necessarily creating reality. That's what cameras are for. It's about extending it. So it's like, if Popeye or Homer Simpson or whatever is falling, they're still a cartoon character, but they fall with physics. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so, and the more you can kind of mimic the structure of reality, the more your own, when someone views it with their brain, they're like, oh, I've seen this before. This is how it works. You know what I mean? Because the second that your character or whatever doesn't do the way something would work in real life, your brain, even if you're like not sure why it looks weird or off, your brain's like, wait a minute, that's wrong. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And you have to have like an explanation. In other words, like if I, let go of this and it just hovers in air, even for a split second, it's got to be like, all right, well, there's magic, or I don't know, you're on the moon and there's just different level of gravity or something. Because otherwise, then your brain's like, this is wrong, and it kind of throws you for a loop kind of situation.
Totally. I mean, that's where one of my breakthroughs in my animation training happened was,
Mm,
at Laika, their style is it's just factually naturalistic.
sure.
And you shoot a lot of video reference of yourself acting out the shot.
Right.
Um, and so again, not to go too into the
Sure.
weeds,
Yeah.
but like there is this tendency for beginning animators in general, regardless of medium, to kind of fall into the trap of, oh, like I can make this look really good because I'm just copying my reference. And it's like, you
Right. Yeah.
don't want to do that because, sure, some like high-end VFX, very realistic stuff, yeah, like you
I mean,
really
that's essentially rotoscoping, you know.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. But when you rotoscope, like most stop motion productions like don't want rotoscoping.
Well, then it doesn't have that animation flair. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? Like it's like I'm saying, like you wanted to mimic reality, but extend reality at the same time. I always tell
Yeah.
my students like you're not trying to like create reality. You're trying to it follows the rules of reality, meaning like physics and, you know, if it hits a wall, it doesn't just like go through it or something like that.
Yeah.
But it still has to have its own personality. Otherwise, otherwise it's just to me at least, it's not animation. You know what I mean? It's kind of closer to special effects, kind of like what Ray Harryhausen was trying to do, where it's like his thing wasn't trying to be animation in the sense of like, a Mickey Mouse type character. His was more of like, okay, this is supposed to be real and we're interacting with humans and how would that look and, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Like for example, on Shaun the Sheep, like I can't share too much because it's not out yet, but like
Sure.
and everybody knows like, hopefully you know what Shaun the Sheep looks like, but if you don't, it's okay. But he's like a very caricatured sheep,
Sure.
and it's like we did shoot reference for some shots. And again, I don't look like Sean. I don't
Sure.
act like
Right.
Sean. But again, the reference does inform acting choices, for example. Like, oh,
Right.
what is my overall expression here? How can I
Right.
convey that
What's
into
your body language like? That kind of stuff.
exactly? And like again, a breakthrough I had at during my Laika internship was like, my mentor comes to my unit one day and is like, yeah, like this is nice, Porter, but like it feels just reserved and it feels like
Mm.
your reference video. And I'm like, well, I don't get it. Like you guys keep saying push past the reference and exaggerate. And so obviously my young amateur brain,
Sure.
when I hear exaggerate, is like, oh, Mickey Mouse, like make everything bigger and like make S curves. And it can be that, but what he was saying is like, no, no, no. He's like, let me frame through this with you. And he's like, see what your shoulder's doing there? He's like, there's something nice with your shoulder. Let's just
Mm.
emphasize that. Let's give it
Right.
more hang time. Let's push the angle a bit more. He's like, that's what I'm saying push past the reference. And
Yeah.
that's when things clicked for me when I was like, oh, like you're emphasizing something that the average audience viewer maybe isn't seeing in real life. And it's an
Right.
emphasis on, hey, this is my take, my emphasis on this pose. And like I'm going to make sure you really read it. Like if the arm in my reference is
Staging. I mean,
facing-
that's what staging is
yeah,
either in an animation or an acting standpoint.
exactly. So it's like, yeah, like, just getting those clear silhouettes, getting
Yeah. I
clarity.
always kind of joke with my students. For some reason, my elementary school in the 80s had us do pantomime. And don't ask me why, but we did. But it really helps, for me anyway, explain like kind of animation because the whole point of pantomime is to over exaggerate everything. I sort of joke that like if I'm drinking coffee in real life, I'm drinking it like that because that's how real people drink coffee. But if
Yeah.
I was in an animation, it would be like, I'd have my arm out and I'd have my head tilted and like, is that how anyone outside of a commercial drinks coffee? Not that I've ever seen, but that's not the point. It's not trying to be real. It's trying to convey the action, which is drinking coffee, to the, you are a sort of you're a play. There's an invisible audience on the other side of the camera, and you're trying to get across that action to them. You know what I mean? Like that's how I see it,
Totally.
at least. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's how we think of it too, You're just trying to, yeah, we all know it's not reality watching this thing, but grounded in reality. We have,
Right, right.
that's why we shoot the reference. It's why, hey, it has to come from somewhere, but now we're gonna and again, I'd argue like that's the animator's job is to
Sure.
bring a new spin on reality. So yeah, I think that's like, getting back to what you were saying earlier with advice to students is study reality, study a
Sure.
reference,
Yeah.
but also don't feel chained to it.
Sure.
And that'll just take time, it just takes time to learn what to push, what to keep. Um, so yeah, like study from real life and like as far as like stop motion specifically, definitely just like we have so much cool technology and software now. Like if
Mhm.
you have an iPhone or a smartphone in general, you're already like halfway there.
Sure.
Just download like I think there's free stop motion apps and like you can just get a tripod, get like a like how I started was I just turned my like desk lamp on its side and like
Right.
kind of made like
As
a
like the light.
flashlight
Yeah, yeah.
and like again like I just said earlier get a Hot Wheels car get an action figure make
Sure.
I mean a computer mouse like just
Yeah, yeah, anything.
start moving stuff and like see if it sticks like
Right.
it's kind of my advice for like 2D and CG as well like that's what I did in the beginning like hey,
Hmm.
I'm gonna try this thing, and then I'm like, I'm not the best draftsman.
Sure.
Computers are too complicated. So
Sure.
like so I just was like, hey, this clicked. So, and it boils down to at the end of the day, like storytelling and like, do you have something you need to just express to say? Like, is that why you're
Right.
doing this? So it's like find that medium that best enables you to do that. That would be my advice. So, but yeah,
Sure. And there you go. See,
yeah,
you did the pose.
I did it.
A
True
little bit.
amateur out here.
Not as much as I was definitely over exaggerating with my elbow out, but yeah.
I'm more on the naturalistic
It's
side.
funny. It's like I always be like, I'm just like, you're always just kind of like, it's like, they sort of joke that actors are always kind of like presenting outward when they talk to you, even though you're like right there, kind of
Yep.
this sort of joke. And it's like that. It's like you're never really just talking to that. You're doing it to this invisible audience that's not really there, but you're still, presenting to them kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Here's a question I usually, and you can answer it however you want to answer it. You can talk about it from an industry point of view. You can talk about it from a artistic point of view. Where do you see animation going in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean that's a loaded question, I guess, with
Sure.
naturally
I know
like
it's not an easy question, especially right
yeah,
now.
like people are I mean, I don't want to go into AI, but I will just say like I feel like it's gonna be incorporated at some point into what we do,
Sure.
but Porter Young's opinion on that as well is I think the directors I've worked with in stop motion that do stop motion, I could always be wrong. But I don't really see the people doing stop mo features like directly replacing like the animator or like the puppet maker, like the
Right.
those acting choices and like that inherently like stop motion imperfection. I think they're always going to want some animator on a set moving it frame by frame. I could,
Yeah, I have my own thoughts on AI. I mean, part of it is that, I mean, especially stop motion. I mean, stop motion has always been a craft industry, meaning like, you use stop motion because you want it to look like stop motion. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, I wouldn't, as much as I love stop motion, I don't know if it's like as popular as other forms of animation, and especially
Mhm.
given its time consumingness. In terms of AI, I'm someone who I live in San Francisco and I keep up with the tech sector. It's like we're
Yeah,
sort of in the when Uber was subsidizing rides phase where like
gotcha.
companies are not paying what it actually costs for the true AI that they're getting from Anthropic and other companies. When that most AI companies, at least my understanding, are operating at a loss. I think even Sam Altman said that like OpenAI won't be profitable till like 2030 or something like that.
Gotcha.
My feeling is when the hammer comes down, because you can't keep subsidizing forever, not if you want to be a business,
Sure.
what's going to happen is when the true costs come, AI may still be used, but it'll be used very sparingly.
Hmm.
It'll be used where it makes the most financial sense. My mom is a boomer who grew up, when she was in college in the 60s, she wanted to use the computer at her school, right? And she had to be allowed to use it because it was like this big expensive thing. And it's like, you couldn't just let anyone use it. And I have a feeling like it's going to become like that, where it's like, okay, they're going to figure out what AI is really good at, and maybe it's like rendering, or maybe it's doing this, that, or the other. And it's like, okay, they'll spend money on that, but they're not going to spend money on like generating some weird sketch of a snail that looks like, David Bowie. Because it's like that's going to cost them like $50. And like they're not going to, you know what I mean? Like it is, right now it's fun and games because it's basically free. But when we start actually having to pay real money, you're going to certainly see where the hammer comes down on what it's really used for and what it's not really used for.
Yeah.
When that happens, I don't know. I mean, I kind of joke that the they always kind of joke that when you have like a Exxon Valdez kind of like tanker, it takes like 1 mile to turn left because it's such a big thing that it just takes time. And unfortunately, the economy is kind of like that, I think, where it's like, okay, right now, all the CEOs are like so hyped up on AI because they were told a lot of things and they think they can replace like half their workforce and still keep the same level of production and make a bunch of money. I have a feeling that's not going to work out, but it takes a while for that to happen. Like it doesn't unfortunately happen in like a week or even a month or even possibly a year. It could take a couple years where they're like, "Oh, okay, this wasn't what we were promised."
Yep.
Maybe, especially, and not to be, this is a bigger thing in tech where it's like tech, the reason why it was such a big thing in tech is engineers make a lot of money. Like a entry level engineer can make like, at least in the Bay Area, like 120,000. That's for entry level. You know what I mean? Whereas as much as I love animation, animators are not getting paid that much. So it becomes this cost balance thing where it's like, well, okay, maybe it makes sense for Google to replace a mid-level engineer who makes 175,000 a year to
Yeah.
200,000. But like a company where, the animator is making like 65 to 90, it's less of a problem, especially if it costs, especially with all the issues that AI has, where it's like, okay, there's no raw file, you got to go back. It's, you can't fine tune it the way you want. So
Totally.
I don't know. That's just my humble theories. I'm just some guy. So what do I know? But
No, I agree with a lot of that. Yeah, I think, like I'm hoping it's just like you said, maybe it is just like right now, yeah, like unfortunately we have maybe a couple years of the CEOs figuring it out and then going, oh,
right.
we need the people back. Um,
Also in the entertainment industry, this is completely unrelated to AI. It
yeah,
doesn't help when every studio is buying each other. That's a
yep,
separate issue that has nothing to do with AI. That's just, you know, mergers and acquisitions. And unfortunately, when there's just less companies, there's less companies making things. So it's like, you know,
yeah,
even if AI was not a thing, I still don't think, like I know the animation industry right now is kind of hitting a little bit of a stall. I think that still would have happened even if AI didn't exist, to be honest. But
yeah, I have to agree with that as well. Like, and kind of going into my next thing is like I'm
Mhm.
hopeful that again, hoping
Sure,
I choose to go forward with optimism.
sure.
And
That's a good phrase. I should remember
yeah.
that.
I try to remain optimistic in the sense of yeah, like I'd keep it real with people entering
Mhm.
animation, specifically stop motion right now. There's not a lot of work,
Sure.
and I again, I don't I don't want to sound grim, but to give a reality check, I was unemployed from animation for 18 months in
Wow, wow. Okay.
2024.
Yeah.
And 8 of those months were spent trying to get
Get
a
a new gig.
backup plan, and then
Yeah, yeah.
eventually I landed a farm job, which I'm actually back at now because there's
Like
no
an actual, like you work on a farm or? Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, I work on a farm right
Oh,
now.
very cool.
And yeah, it's a massive blessing because it keeps the bills
Yeah,
paid.
yeah, of course.
So,
We all gotta, we all got bills to pay. So
yeah, so like again, what I my advice is like not to scare people and they're like, I
right,
don't want to go into animation. And also totally respect if people are like, yeah, I want a more consistent job.
sure.
Totally fair. But for me, it's like I don't really regret the path I took.
Okay,
It's more like, yeah, in an ideal world, I think anyone naturally would be like, oh, I wish I had a backup plan right now. But if you
sure.
are able to, like, get a backup plan, something that, is like, hey, I don't hate this job, but like,
Sure.
I don't want to do
Yeah,
this
yeah,
forever. And like, but it keeps me afloat during
right.
industry lows.
Sure.
Because it is a reality that like I've had to face, and thankfully I'm making through it
Good.
all right, like it's like, this farm was very kind and, for example, they were very understanding and let me go to Aardman and we're like,
Sure.
hey, you have a job when you get back. So it
Oh,
was like,
that's
oh,
nice.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I will tell
So
you, I've talked to a lot of older animators who are like from the 70s and 80s, and it sounds
yeah.
like that was still a thing then too. He's like, yeah, I would work for so and so, and then I'd be unemployed for 6 months, and then and, it
Yeah.
seems like that's just the gig. It's like being an actor, kind of, where it's like, when you work and you make money, and then when you don't, you don't, and you're looking for that next gig kind of thing. At least that's
Mhm.
my understanding as someone who doesn't work in the industry, but
That is definitely the case, especially in stop motion because it's even smaller. It's like it is
sure.
just it's contract to contract. There Leica does have staff positions, but that is like for a
Right, right. Very small amount.
small percentage of people. Um, so it's like if you're able to get in that small percentage, in my opinion, you've made it. But
Sure, right.
for the rest of us, it's like, yep, you got to kind of just figure it out. And so,
Sure.
yeah. So again, like, um, my hope next 5 to 10 years is I hope that with this, I'm seeing a lot of buzz right now online,
Mhm.
just like there's an independent animation boom.
That's kind of what I hear. I mean, that's what a lot of animators have been saying. There's kind of this more, the sort of, I guess, kind of the Patreon, do your own thing, have people give you money, kind of independent vibe is what I've been hearing.
Yeah, and like I think, my hope is like maybe some good will come from that. Maybe
Sure.
there's gonna be more, I hope there's more competition in stop motion because right now I can count like three
Right.
studios on my hand. Like it's
Yeah.
Laika, Aardman, and Shadow Machine if Shadow
Sure.
has a project. So it's just kind of like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
it, and like there's smaller companies, of course, but I'm
Right. But they're
hoping that
hard. It's kind of here and there.
yeah, like I'm hoping it's more like in the future with this, like social media and with more ways of distribution, like hopefully there's just a bigger variety of studios and people just making stuff.
Sure.
And so yeah, that's my optimism. And like I feel hopeful that again, I could always be wrong, but I think with this like I think there is right now I am seeing like people wanting handcrafted media and I'm wondering if like maybe this will help stop motion have another mini kind of
Resurgence. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I can
mini
see that.
resurgence and kind of like oh hey, there's more stop motion projects and we ride that wave for a bit.
Sure.
But yeah, I think like
There was ever a time the sort of blowback to people hating AI that would probably be kind of now-ish, but we'll see.
yeah, no, totally. So yeah, I think like again with optimism, I think it's like if stop motion, like I mentioned earlier, if you have one of those moments where you're like, this is really what I feel called to do, then like
Sure.
I think go for it. But you have to create. You have to like
Right.
you gotta have some skin in the game if you want to make it work, like so that's what I would do is just keep creating and then connect with people.
Mhm.
Connect with other like-minded folks who
Sure.
can, you kind of start creating a little bit of a community that way. So it's like,
Sure.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. That's just my thoughts on
Sure.
where
That's
things
what's
could
up.
go. I could be wrong, but hopefully not.
Do you
Um,
Sure. Do you have any kind of final words, closing words for my students?
Yeah, I
You
think
don't have to, by the way. I don't want to put you on the
we're
spot.
good. I think just back to what I just said, like create and connect with people. If
Mhm.
there's anything anyone gets from this is like, I just hope it's like, the act of creating just shows people and everything like, hey, I'm putting something out there and I
Right.
hope for something back. And through that, you gain connection with people. And it doesn't always have to be professional.
Sure.
I'd really advise people that are getting into this, like, try to just start genuine friendships.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I one of my best friends today was like a guy with like no following on any social media, and like I caught wind of his work because I really liked it. And I was like, "Hey, I'm
Mhm.
learning stop motion too." And
Oh, cool.
what's funny is we both ended up on Wildwood together,
Oh, nice.
and
Very
like
cool.
we're still in touch to this day and hanging out. And it's like we were both nobodies, but we both
Right.
rallied together, and we even did this like weekly thing of like we started a Dropbox folder of, hey, I'll drop my animation in, you critique it, and then you drop yours in, and we kind of helped each other get better that way. So it's like see if you can do that, like reach out to the people who are starting out too.
Hmm.
Reach out to, recruiters and stuff if you
Sure.
can. Like, yeah, just create and connect. That's what I would do. So,
All right. I think those are good words to leave on. All right.
awesome.
So I know you don't have any socials, but is there anywhere people can see your work? Do you have like a portfolio on Vimeo or anything or something like that? Or
Yeah, I need to get off Vimeo, but
okay.
because it's getting weird now with like some people are saying like, oh, I can't like watch your demo
Oh,
reel,
okay.
or like it's just like okay. So I am on Vimeo as of right now.
Mhm.
And I think if you just Google Porter Young animation reel, you can see a sampling of my work. And I'm
Great.
also on LinkedIn, just
Hmm.
Porter Young. And if anyone listening to this wants to connect, feel free to reach out. Just feel free to email any work or if you need
Sure.
advice. My door is always open. So
That's great. I appreciate that.
yeah,
Some of my students may take you up on that.
yeah, no sweat at all.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much. We appreciate your time.
No, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat. It's
Yeah.
nice.